edited the Knesset and show that at all, and neither did any Israeli. But it's really hypocritical. The study that found soldiers IDF the rate at, he's talking about state Timon. The video didn't show that at all, and neither did any Israeli parliament or member of the Knesset ever say that. This is pro-Palestinian propaganda that actually edited the film, and they blocked out certain areas to show that you can actually see between their legs because they were holding up the shields. No one was actually raped. In fact, the original document and the medical report of the woman who was anti-Bibi Netanyahu, who leaked the tape herself because she was against what happened, and that was a beating that happened. She even said that there was no rape, and she's the one that was actually released the tape and actually released this information and leaked it all out, and was trying to get Bibi Netanyahu actually out of power because she's left wing. And even she said that that is not true. There was no parliamentary ruling on rape at state Timon. It's just it's nonsense, and this has been debunked like 6 months ago. I don't even know why we're still talking about that. The energy. I'll move on to that later because I know I want to make this quick. He said that Israel is controlling the United States government, and his proof was that it's that they have standing ovations for Bibi Netanyahu. They have standing ovations because they agreed with what he said. Standing ovations doesn't equal control. That's stupid. Also, he mentioned Amalek again, and then he showed an article that Bibi Netanyahu, the article literally said on his slideshow that he's referring to Hamas. I'll go ahead and end with this. This idea that Iran is fighting for us. No, Iran is fighting for Iran, which again is totally fine. Well, Iran is fighting for the IRGC, which again is totally fine. But this idea that they're secretly like, we really need to help America, we're fighting for them, they're not.
All right, thank you. Daniel, go ahead and give your rebuttal. You have up to 5 minutes since he took
Was that
about
5 minutes?
Time. That was about 5 minutes, yeah.
A lot longer than 5 minutes. Okay.
If you want to go like 30 seconds over, I mean, I'm sure it's okay, but we'll just eat into the open dialogue time a little bit. I don't necessarily want to do that, but.
Right, can you, I just need to share my screen again.
Okay, go ahead. Are you sharing? All
right. He says that America first means supporting American government. Like, this is some kind of cheap hasbara. America first means serving the interests of the American people. And if the American government is not serving the interests of the American people, then that is a problem. So he's just trying to redefine America first in a like openly subversive way. He says that any Islamist regime that promotes extremism, terrorism, pedophilia should be opposed and I guess invaded and bombed. Okay, then America should be bombing Israel. America should be bombing and destroying Israel for many reasons. Like article after article and research shows that Israel is a haven for pedophiles. Jewish pedophiles in America flee to a safe haven in Israel. This is something that is reported on. Human rights groups have extensively reported on this, and there are many high-profile cases of this happening all the time, like in Las Vegas last year of an Israeli official actually getting caught in a pedophile sting and him being able to flee to Israel and maintain protection there. Also, we want to talk about pedophiles. What about Jeffrey Epstein? Very beloved by Israel, you could say. He also, a lot of his opening was premised on the idea that Iran shouldn't get nukes. I believe that Iran absolutely deserves to have nukes for its own self-protection, to be protected from being turned into a crater by the United States and Israel, who are threatening to do so. Literally, Donald Trump is threatening to wipe Iran off the map, to turn it into a glass crater, to wipe its civilization away. He says that, well, Iran has so many protests, and so we have to support the Iranians. Well, guess what? Israel constantly is having protests as well. Maybe the U.S. needs to save Israel from its government through bombing it to the Stone Ages. America also has plenty of major protests on the basis of corruption or just any other cause. You know about Occupy Wall Street that happened in the early 2000s. Around 2010, you have Black Lives Matter, of course, from a few years ago. And these are massive protests that rocked many major U.S. cities. Maybe Iran should bomb the United States by Nick's logic here. Protests indicate the need for regime change. He says that there's more stability when Israel and America is in the region. Oh yeah, is there stability in the Middle East? That's news to me. I don't think anyone is talking about the stability in the Middle East, especially when since the beginning of the Zionist-pushed war on terror, 4.5 million deaths in the Middle East, 38 million refugees. This is reported by Brown University, Watson Center, Cost of War Project, Watson Institute, Cost of War Project. He says that Amalek is undefined. This is nonsense. Was Netanyahu just referring to nothing? Like he was just quoting the Torah randomly? No, he's just citing exactly the verse in the Torah about blot out Amalek, blot them out, do not forget. And the whole theological significance of Amalek, not only in the Torah, but also in the Talmud, is that they are the enemies of the Jews at any time, and they should be, and this is how the Talmud and rabbinic scholars have interpreted it historically, they should be wiped out. And so Netanyahu was applying that to the Palestinians, and that's how all of Israel understood it. All Jews around the world understood it. He says that, oh, we don't have hell in Judaism. Well, why is the Talmud describing Jesus Christ boiling in a vat of feces in hellfire? This is from the Talmud. You can read Jesus in the Talmud by Princeton University Press, by Peter Schaefer, I believe is the author. And this is a work that describes the Judaism's view and the Talmud's view of Jesus Christ as being boiling in a vat of feces and his mother being a whore. He says Jesus coming back, okay, in Islam. He also makes a big error. He says that we don't view Jesus as Christ in Islam. Yes, we do. We view him as Christ, the Messiah, Messiah, the anointed one. That is part of Islamic theology. He says that Islam says that end times Messiah will force Jews and Christians to convert. Sure, okay, that is true. That's eschatology. That doesn't tell Muslims how they should behave or treat Jews today. But Jews, the difference is within Jewish law, Jews demand conversion or death of non-Jews even before the end times and the Messiah. So I said that. This is referring to... I don't know why this is here. Oh, this is eschatology, that at the end times when the Mashiach comes, the Jewish Messiah, that there will be 2,800 slaves, Goy slaves, Gentile slaves that each Jew will have. This is the Jewish eschatology. So we can talk about eschatology if he wants. He says that no prison rape because the tape was fake. Like, oh, they found out 6 months ago. This case is from 2024. And it was the Israeli courts that determined that this was real. And they actually arrested these soldiers. They arrested them. And it was protests that happened to release them on the basis of that we should have the right to rape. And I cited all these Israeli politicians, TV presenters who were saying that, yes, we should have the right to rape. Okay, so even if it turned out Sure. So even if it turned out that the tapes were fake, that doesn't change the reaction of the Israeli public that they wanted the right to rape the non-Jews, Palestinians, whether they're Muslim or Christian. He has this. He gave this apologetic about what does non-Jews being or Gentiles being non-human means. Here's Rabbi Schneerson, one of the main authorities in modern Judaism, who says that non-Jews are different species from Jews. Non-Jews are completely different in terms of their bodily substance. They have the soul of Satan. Like, these are the quotes that we can talk about in more detail. If you want to take my word for it about what Judaism says about non-Jews, just take a look at Schneerson here. A Jew was not created as means for some other purpose. He himself is the purpose of the entire world, since the substance of all divine emanations was created only to serve Jews. The heavens and the earth were created for the sake of Jews. The important things are the Jews because they do not exist for any other aim. Okay, thanks.
Since you didn't get that email. Chat, like the video, get your tickets to DebateCon, and get some super chats in. I will be asking them at the end. All right, and with that, Nick, if you want to take it and open up the open dialogue, you're ready. Or I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, I just, again, just like real quick, what we are arguing right now, the claim is if Americans should support the American government or the IRGC. Again, if you don't want to support the American government's action, I totally get that. That's what I said in my opening statement, but that doesn't mean we should support the IRGC. He's strawmanning me. I never said we should bomb them because of pedos. Another strawman, I never said anything about bombing because of protests. I don't care if people protest. I don't even know where he got that from. The whole Alexander, the guy from Las Vegas who was a pedophile and fled to Israel, he didn't flee at all. He was allowed to leave, and he has an upcoming court appointment, and it was actually something that the judge got upset with their own court system, not him, and they allowed him to show up during his first meeting of Zoom in a future one. I don't remember the exact date, but it's in the future. He has to come back, and he will. And if he doesn't, then I'll be the first to say that's wrong. He should absolutely come back. But he didn't flee.
There's one thing I was wondering. Nick, because yesterday I was watching some of your videos, and in many videos, actually multiple, you claim that you have read 20,000 hadith. I think that's amazing. Like 20,000. Is that true? Like you've read 20,000 or more hadith?
Well, first off, I generally say 15 to 20,000, but I've read, yes, all the Sahih. I mean, to be fair, all the Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Abu Dawud, and others that I've kind of read. I try my hardest to find those that are Sahih and chain, because if it's weak, then it's just not worth it because people don't accept it. But yeah, it's about 20,000. I mean, Sahih al-Bukhari by itself has 7,500, and there's like 5,000 plus in Sahih Muslim, and then amongst the other ones. But to be fair, some of them repeat.
Bukhari, so Bukhari is 7,500, you said?
Yes, of course, you should know that. You're Sunni, yes?
How many? Yes, I'm Sunni. So the thing that people don't understand is that actually, Sahih Bukhari doesn't have 7,500 unique hadith. There are repetitions, actually. And if you combine...
I literally just said that.
Right, so...
I just said that.
Right, so how many... So if you don't count repetitions, how many unique hadith are in Bukhari and Muslim? You know that number?
Yeah, I'd have to recount it, and I've read more than just Bukhari and Muslim. But again, I think it's... I can read still 7,500 of them. I think most of the repetitions have actually been removed, which is why I went down to 7,500. I think the hadith overall, with all repetitions and those that were thrown out, go into the million plus hadith. Now, it does. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Oh, you looked it up, or you actually read them? So let me correct it, because you're so off. Like, this is such a... There's not millions.
Let's find a way to tie this back.
It has a lot to do. It has a lot to do with it. Because the number that you're citing... No, it actually questions your credibility. It questions that you make claims that are so baseless and so crazy. Like, any Muslim who has any level of knowledge knows that claiming to have read 20,000 hadith is so insane. Because Bukhari and Muslim, what you keep saying, okay, what you Googled, Bukhari and Muslim, they only have about 4,000 unique hadith between them. Bukhari and Muslim, 4,000. If you look at all, like, you want to include all of the Sahih Sitta, you want to read, like, the 6 canonical books of hadith, if you include everything, okay, everything, it only reaches 19,600. So you're claiming to have read all of these books. You can't even name them. You can't even name what the Sahih Sitta are. And so it's so ridiculous. Like, this is nonsense. You don't know what you're talking about.
No, you
didn't. You said Abu Dawud. No, you didn't. You can Google it, but your number, the thing is that your number is based on Google, not what you actually have read.
You're not letting me respond. So
let him respond, Daniel, and I'll let you respond to
it. You're saying Abu Dawud is not one of them? Is that what you just said?
And Nick, keep in mind, if you ask a question and then you want to keep going, that's going to kind of cause a hang up there.
Okay, well, fine. I'll just make that as a statement. The fact that he doesn't know what Abu Dawud is and he's saying that, like, he's laughing as if that's not one of them, it absolutely is. Anyone can just Google this right now or just go to sunnah.com. You can see it. And furthermore, there's about at least 12,000, I think, more hadith between Sahih Muslim and Sahih al-Bukhari. So he's saying the unique between both of them goes down to 4,000. That would mean that a third of them, it would go down to a third. So he's thinking that they're repeating 3 times each on average every single hadith, and that's the only way, because 4,000 times 3 is 12,000. And I think it's actually more than 12,000. I'm being a little conservative here. So I don't think that's true at all. I've read all the Sahih al-Bukhari, read all the Sahih Muslim. I literally said, to be fair, there are some that repeat, but it is definitely not at 3 times the rate. I am questioning. I don't know who you are. Actually, just found out.
How many?
I don't know.
Okay, just tell me.
All right, so yeah, Daniel,
I just want to know. This has nothing
to
do with whether we should. Of course, I'll let you respond, but this has nothing to do with the topic at all. I just really want to point that out there.
Can you tell me how many surahs are in Sahih Bukhari?
How many surahs are in Sahih Bukhari?
Yeah, or they're also called rakat.
Chapters?
Rakat.
Okay,
How many
rakat.
surahs are rakat? How
Surah
many
is
in?
more of a Quran thing, correct?
Yeah, it can be. Tell me how many rakat then in Sahih Bukhari.
I'm not sure.
Just a ballpark.
I
You read
have no
it?
idea.
You read it cover to cover.
I've never seen the word surah.
Like, I think it's more or less than 100 rakat in Sahih
Okay,
Bukhari.
All right,
that's
so
awesome.
Daniel, if you could tie that back into the topic, that would be excellent for the
You
chat.
can tie
Yeah,
it back to the topic because it's
so
a
I'll talk.
topic.
I'll relay it back to the topic. So all the Muslims watching, you can stop laughing now at this exchange. But it's relevant because he makes claims that are so false, like so obviously false to anyone who knows the facts. He just relies on people's ignorance. He relies on the audience's ignorance to make these exaggerated claims that have no basis in reality. Like I read Sahih Bukhari cover to cover. Like that's, you know how many volumes it is? Like it's like if you put it on a bookshelf, it's like this thick. So you're like the most dedicated reader of religion that I've ever seen, and you claim to be like a nuclear engineer. Okay, but your numbers are just based off of Google. They have no actual reality
They're based off of
for
Sunnah.com.
anyone who actually knows.
They're based off of Sunnah.com.
Okay, so you went through every page of Sahih Bukhari on Sunnah.com.
Yeah,
how many
correct.
rakat? How many rakat? Can you check on Sunnah.com how many rakat are there?
You're asking this question again, and I'm not sure what you're referring to. What I'm saying is that each hadith is about, there's some that are in the paragraphs, but most of them are actually just a couple sentences. Like the fact that you think reading 7,500 of them speaks more to your ignorance than it does mine. It's not that hard. It took me about a couple months. I don't even know why you think this is so weird. Like, I know you think Muslims are like laughing at me. I bet there's actually some laughing at you right now because 7,500 hadith would not take this extreme amount of time. I have no idea what you're laughing at.
You read 15 to 20,000. In some interviews, you say more than 20,000. You say you read more than 20,000.
I'll just look it up right now and show you.
Why'd you have to look it up? You read it. You read them.
No,
You read
I know
them.
the number. I know the number. I'm just looking it up to show everyone how many there actually are.
Sure, and
So
after
right
that, I do want to get back into
real quick,
why.
yeah, I would love to get back to the
support
conversation.
X or Y here. I get that there's rhetoric involved in debates, and Daniel, I want to respect that that's maybe something you're trying to do there, but I don't want to completely let it go on into an interrogation about how much Nick might know
Sure.
about that specific subject. I think you made your point, but after that, let's try to bring it back to your points of why X.
Yes, I just looked it up. He laughed at me saying that there's potentially over 1 million. It says right here that the total number of narrated hadith prophetic traditions exceeds hundreds of thousands, potentially over 1 million. Exactly what I said word for word. And also without repetition, it says right here, Sahih al-Bukhari has 7,563 total. Exactly what I said. Sahih Muslim, it's about 7,500. And it says without repetition, Sahih Muslim and Sahih al-Bukhari together are closer to 6,000. He said 4,000. So like I said, I was right. He was wrong. I don't even know why.
Yeah, your knowledge is based on Google, like you Google something or see on ChatGPT, not based on actually reading it.
Just go to Sunnah.com, and I promise you it's about 7,500 between Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. If you guys don't believe me, Google it. I promise you I will be vindicated, and he won't be. And
You don't even know how many. You don't even know how many rakats are. Google how many rakats are in Sahih Bukhari. Google that. Google it. Why can't you Google that one?
There, Daniel. We have to,
Google that.
We have to bring it back. This is a point that you made, and now I want to kind of get back to maybe giving some of your pro support positions, and then we can get it back and forth on that. But I understand what you're trying to do there, and I wanted to give you time and be patient to let you do that. Just we got to speed it up.
Sure, no problem. It's no problem. Yeah, so I mean, I don't understand the moral case for like why the U.S. should be attacking Iran. You said it has nothing to do with protests. It has nothing to do with corruption. Like, what is the reason then? Like, how does this? And you defined America first as being whatever benefits or supporting the American government. Can you respond to what I said?
Yeah, so what I said is a straw man argument. So what I said is that the claim that we are arguing, or at least trying to be on Hadith, is that what should Americans support if the two options, again, anyone can just read the title of the YouTube video, the U.S. government or the IRGC. And I'm saying, if you're really going, and I implemented America First because Trump created America First, so you're the one actually redefining it, not me, and not Trump. But that being said, it doesn't mean you have to blindly support everything the government does. Trust me, I am, as a conservative, I don't support everything President Trump does. There's some things that I don't like about the guy. I never once said that. What I said is that if the two options, again, title of the YouTube video, you guys, is the U.S. government or the IRGC, again,
that's not the title that we agreed on, though. Should the American people support war on Iran? That's the topic. Okay, so it's not like a binary.
Let's look it up real quick, so I just make sure. Maybe the title was changed at the last second. Let's look it up.
That's not the title I agreed to. I thought Mike, like,
yeah, I tried to clarify it in the beginning.
Should Americans support the U.S. government or Iranian government? So I just want to make it clear that the original topic was actually Israel-Palestine. Daniel was the one that changed it. I was told that he wanted to change it, and I agreed to this title. I will, after this, on my X, I will release all of the DMs showing that this was the title that he changed after 2 separate changes, and I said yes the whole way because I wasn't interested in trying to find a specific title. I just wanted to debate, regardless of who it was. There's 3 people that.
Yeah, I tried to clarify in the beginning that this is should Americans support the U.S. or Iran governments in the context of the war that's happening in Iran right now.
Yeah, perfect. So
we can make sure that
I mean, this is a binary that you're creating, like. So I mean, this is not what I agreed to.
It shows the title, and it's in the title of the YouTube
video. Can I talk? Can I say something? Can I say something? Okay. So I specifically did not want this title so that you could pin me as an IRG supporter. Okay, I specifically denied. I know it doesn't matter if you title. I'm just explaining why I rejected the title. No, I did not. I did not.
Like I said, on my X after, I will release the entire DMs.
How we didn't DM each other? How can you release the DMs? You can DM James. Like, yeah, okay, we can take it up with James. Like, we can talk to James because he said one thing to me. Okay, well, I mean, I did message James. I can release the emails as well. I specifically did not want, should Americans support U.S. government or IRGC? Okay, I specifically asked for the title, should Americans support war on Iran, the attack on Iran? And the reason, and I gave the explanation because I'm American, and I am American first in the sense that I want what's good for the American people. I want what's good for the American people, and what is going to harm American people is this war.
Go ahead,
economically.
The title halfway through. Go ahead.
I mean, it's very clear the argument that I made, the disaster of this war so far for the American people. It will continue to be disastrous. I don't know, how much are you paying for gas? Like, our gas, I'm in Texas, is getting close to over $4 a gallon. Hey, this is going to devastate the American people. Okay, on the basis of what? And this is why the majority of Americans oppose this war. So tell us why the American people are wrong.
to that question. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sure. So the majority of Americans don't particularly. It's actually a split when you see it. I'm a conservative. I'm not really interested in what Islamists and leftists particularly feel. They reject a lot of things, but if you actually look at the conservative side of the, excuse me, it's about 80% that actually do support this. But nonetheless, the argument, if we want to switch the claim to should Americans, I don't know, support this war or whatever, let's just say that's the claim now. The argument should be made regardless. I'm not going to appeal to popularity. That's a logical fallacy and shouldn't be used in debates. So you're wrong, but I also don't particularly care. That being said, I agree with you. Gas prices have gone up. To frame that as devastation for the American people is not just dramatic, it's emotional garbage. And I also believe in a long-term benefit, like the energy lanes that Trump has been securing these past 2 weeks very clearly. That's going to have a permanent or at least an indefinite effect for the American people in the positive direction in the long-term future versus the short-term. So I concede your idea about the short-term effect, and I agree with you to find some middle ground here. However, I counter it with the long-term effect.
Right.
Yeah, so you said 80% of conservatives, fine. I was talking about the American people as a whole. I don't actually trust 80% figures are given by the GOP. It seems to be very biased in order to generate public support. GOP aligned outlets, whatever.
CNN. It was CNN.
Yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Very GOP.
60%, over 60% of the American people actually are opposed to the war, and it's because they're tired of endless wars in the Middle East for Israel. That's what they're tired of. They're tired of their government being controlled by the Israeli lobby. They see it very clearly. They feel it day to day because they notice that there are all kinds of policies that are put in place on social media through community guidelines where you're no longer allowed to criticize Israel in many ways. Still, there's some level of freedom on X, for example, but a lot of these social media platforms are cracking down increasingly. And this is why a Zionist like Larry Ellison, the personal friend of Benjamin Netanyahu, is acquiring TikTok for the US and is cracking down on community guideline policies, which are limiting the ability to criticize this war on Iran, limiting the ability to criticize the Israeli government. We saw a Florida student just recently be put in prison. She's waiting a trial, but her bail was denied because she's seen as a credible threat because she made a joke about Benjamin Netanyahu in a WhatsApp group. So this is the level of crackdown that's taking place on the American people, and they're getting tired of it. They're getting tired of being Israel's lapdog.
All right.
So real quick, that didn't answer anything I said about the long-term effect of energy lanes. But that being said, I will answer that Florida lady was not arrested at all for a Bibi Netanyahu joke. If you just read the transcript or watched the video or listened to the judge, she was arrested because she said that the area they were taking the test should be bombed. So this is ridiculous. Watch this. Bibi Netanyahu is a piece of shit. He's an idiot. Okay, if I'm arrested tomorrow, then Daniel wins this debate. People criticize Israel all the time online. You're allowed to criticize Israel. If anyone, and again, just go Google it, see what she said. The transcript is available for the public. She did not get arrested for joking about Bibi Netanyahu. She got arrested because she said the area they were taking the test should be bombed. That's a bomb threat. That being said, can you answer what I said about the energy lanes? I don't know why you. I get it. You don't like Israel. You don't like Bibi. Cool. We all got that, dude. What does that have to do with my claim?
Yeah, so these are just perspective. Like every single war, we're told that the energy prices are going to go down. We're going to have so much free oil. This is what Trump said after taking out Maduro and taking control of Venezuela. He also said there's going to be so much free oil. Yes, it does. Energy prices do have to do with the cost of crude, barrels of crude. Yes, are you denying that energy prices have to do with the cost of a barrel of crude oil?
No, I didn't say energy prices.
Then why are you interrupting?
Energy lanes. I said the energy lanes that he was securing from not just the Strait of Hormuz all the way to the Straits of Malacca and the Straits of Singapore. That's what I was talking about, not necessarily
securing in the future. So what? Okay, energy, mainly petroleum. Yeah, natural gas. Like, why are you interrupting for the sake of like nitpicking like this? Yeah, oil, natural gas, any kind of energy lane that you're talking about that in the future we're promised is going to be opened up and it's going to be controlled. Donald Trump can't even open the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, okay, in the Red Sea. He can't even, with the force of the entire Navy, get Ansar Allah, the Houthis, to stop blocking the Red Sea back in 2024 and 2025. He couldn't even do that. How is he going to secure any other energy corridor, whether it's the Strait of Hormuz or Strait of Malacca or whatever it may be? Indonesia just announced, actually, that they're going to start tolling the Strait of Malacca as well. So, I mean, this is just prospects. Before every single war, during every single war in the Middle East, the government says, oh, this is going to bring prosperity. But we've seen like 25 years of this. It's a boy that cried wolf. Oh, we're going to have prosperity. And American standard of living continues to decline. Cost of living has gone way up. Inflation has gone through the roof. The petrodollar is about to collapse, as now Iran is requiring trade or passage through the Strait of Hormuz to be paid in fees in yuan, the Chinese currency, instead of the dollar. And they're actually incentivizing these ships to pay in yuan instead of the dollar. And the Gulf countries, UAE is leaving OPEC.
Daniel, let's let him respond to some of those claims. Yeah, also, Nick, what I'd like to ask too is whenever you're finished with that response, maybe try to clarify your position for the audience. Again, I know you did an opening statement, but just to reframe a little bit from where we've drifted back to where you stand on how involved and how much support Americans should be putting towards this conflict and why.
Yeah, I mean, I will do that. I'm gonna have to change my claim now that there's a new title. But that being said, it wasn't in the future. Trump has actually already secured a lot of these energy lanes. Also, he lied. He said that Indonesia's gonna start tolling the Straits of Malacca. They actually came out yesterday and said that they're not gonna be doing that. But anyways, and then the Straits of Singapore, they already made it very clear with the 4-nautical-mile choke point that they would not do that either. As for Iran, I guess to make my new claim would be that we should support the U.S. government because Iran has declared war on America since 1979, and just because you use proxy warfare with Operation Cassandra in 2008, with what we found out their proxy warfare in the Western Hemisphere, they have been declaring war and launching war on us since 1979. As also their ballistic missile program is needs to be demolished, amongst other things. But that's a major thing, and it ties directly into the nuclear capabilities. What I would say about the Straits of Hormuz and also what's happening with Iran. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but just yesterday's report that was actually released, and it's been showing over the past 2 weeks that Iran is actually in an economic strangle right now, and they are freaking out, and it's actually going to be the benefit of America. In fact, in the next 2 weeks, if this doesn't get figured out for them, they're going to start having to cap their oil wells. And once you cap an oil well, just so you guys know, you cannot reopen that. You can't start pumping again later. It actually would be detrimental. We've seen that their storage facilities are so backed up because of the effective blockade that they're starting to use old tankers that were decommissioned just so they can start storing. They have nothing going out. The biggest exports that they have to get hard cash in the IRGC is oil, of course, and petrochemicals. Both of them have been at a standstill to the point that they have been low lowering the pumping to a point that they're actually starting to freak out because they want to continue pumping so they don't cap wells, but they also have nowhere to store it. The real went from 1.4 to 1.6 million, and that's what the protests were before this war. And now, just in the past days, it went up to 1.88 million per dollar. That is an extreme amount. In fact, that amount by itself in just days is bigger than what caused the protests and the top 5 banks of either collapse or almost collapsed in the IRGC earlier this year, late last year. And so that has already been surpassed just in the past couple of days because they have to print money. Over 1 million people have lost their jobs as the IRGC has been printing more money. They have no way to pay the Basij and others, and so we're starting to see people that would possibly start affecting. But nonetheless, we do know that over 1 million people have lost their jobs, and they are in an economic strangle right now.
So, I mean, to respond to that, these are just reports that are coming from Western sources. It's a lot of propaganda, but the reality is that Iran has gone through economic sanctions for 47 years. The country has been devastated, and they've had to find ways to operate and to run their country of 90 to 100 million people while being in economic straits, like being in this kind of difficulty. So they're used to it. The people who are not used to economic difficulty are the American people. American people are the ones who are really going to suffer with the economic downturn and potential disaster that's going to come if the price of gas starts going more towards $7, $8, $9, $10, $12 a gallon. Like, this is going to be devastating for the American people. It's going to create a lot of joblessness. It's going to cause people not to be able to even get to work anymore. The U.S. really relies on labor that commutes to work. So this is going to be much harder for the American people than it's going to be for the Iranian people. They've already gone through this song and dance for 47 years. But if I'm trying to understand Nick's argument, okay, what I got from what you said is that we should support the U.S. government in attacking Iran because Iran has been at war with the U.S. For 47 years, since it was founded in 1979, the Islamic Republic. Okay, let me just accept that premise. Let me accept that Iran is at war with the U.S., even though in reality, it's the U.S. that has been meddling in, attacking, along with the British, Iran for the better part of the 20th century. Let's put that aside. Let me just concede that Iran is hostile to the United States. Even if I pretended that that's the case, your assumption is true, Iran was in the middle of negotiating with the United States. Iran was in the middle of trying to negotiate a deal with the United States, and there are many reports that they were coming close to making some kind of deal, putting limitations on their nuclear enrichment, maybe moving their stockpiles to out of the Iranian mainland, maybe putting it on an island in the Persian Gulf or some kind of arrangement like that. They were getting close to some kind of agreement in the negotiations, but then suddenly the U.S. attacks. Suddenly there's Operation Midnight Hammer last summer and the recent February 28th attack where the U.S. is in the middle of negotiating with Iran. So Iran demonstrates an intention to come to terms, to actually cease hostilities, even though all the hostilities are coming from the U.S. side, when the U.S. is sanctioning them, starving their people, okay, from all kinds of resources because of not only primary but secondary sanctions, but also taking out their important political leaders like Qasem Soleimani, or Israel bombing the consulate in Damascus, Iranian consulate in Damascus, taking out Ismail Haniyeh a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, in Tehran, like violating Iran's sovereignty, sovereign land. This is all crimes and aggression against Iran.
We're gonna let Nick go ahead and respond to that.
Yeah, a couple things. He says that he doesn't trust Western sources when they go against him, but then he quotes Western sources. With the negotiations, they made it very clear that they had no interest in doing anything with their ballistic missile program, something that President Trump has always made very, very key. In fact, it was his biggest criticism of the JCPOA was that it didn't mention the ballistic missiles program. Tied that with the 2015 report, but 2003 findings of the IAEA. It's very clear that this is directly tied to their nuclear missile production and capability. On top of that, is acting as a deterrence. We have reports that show that about a year to year and a half max, it would have been such a deterrence that even if NATO were to go against them, their air defense systems wouldn't be able to equal out the amount of ballistic missiles that they would have had. On top of that, he says that, oh, they're just starving. Their economy is all because of America. It's just their economy so bad. I don't know if you guys know, but they pump actually gas in the Persian Gulf, and they give like half of that to Qatar. There's billions and billions of dollars that have been funneled through from corruption of the IRGC members. They've used cryptocurrency, by the way, to bypass sanctions, which is pretty smart for them. No one denies that the Iranian people, including the IRGC, aren't smart. But this idea of this victimization of just like, oh my God, these sanctions are so bad. How about you stop giving fucking money to Qatar that should be your own personal regional natural resources? Why are you giving it to other entities when your people are quote unquote starving? I do agree with you that Americans are more sheltered, and I agree with you that they are going to put more pressure on our administration when it comes to like economic hardship. I agree with you 100%. Americans are pretty sheltered when it comes to that, and honestly a little weaker when it comes to that. But the difference is that they're allowed to put pressure onto their governments. That's because we live in a society that we should admire. The IRGC doesn't allow for pressure to be put onto their government. We saw 30,000